Friends, neighbors, countrymen, lend me your ears. Today, we embark on a journey to understand a tale of economic strife and political maneuvering that has shaped the relationship between two neighboring nations. This is a story of trade wars, tariffs, and the unexpected consequences that follow. We're going north of the border today to talk about something Canadians take very seriously. Besides hockey and saying sorry excessively, good old-fashioned trade wars. Canada, known for its breathtaking landscapes, friendly people, and of course its love for hockey, found itself in the crosshairs of a trade dispute that would test the resilience of its economy and its relationship with its southern neighbor. The United States, in its infinite wisdom, slapped a 25% tariff on Canadian steel. This hurt. A lot. Steel, a backbone of modern infrastructure and industry, became a symbol of the brewing tension. Factories that once thrived on the seamless flow of goods across the border now faced uncertainty and financial strain. And it wasn't just steel, oh no. The ripple effects of these tariffs extended far beyond the steel mills. Canadian products, from maple syrup to machinery, faced the looming threat of additional tariffs. The very essence of Canadian trade was under siege and the stakes were high. The threat of more tariffs loomed over other Canadian goods like a moose in a china shop. Imagine the chaos and the potential damage. Businesses that relied on cross-border trade were on edge, unsure of what the future held. The uncertainty was palpable, and the economic landscape was shifting. Now, you might be thinking, John, why are we punishing Canada? What could possibly justify such drastic measures against a nation known for its politeness and cooperation? The reasons, as it turns out, were as murky as the waters of a foggy lake. They gave us Ryan Reynolds, Celine Dion, and poutine. These cultural icons and culinary delights are just a few examples of the rich contributions Canada has made to the world. It's hard to fathom why a country that has given us so much joy would be on the receiving end of such economic hostility. And you'd be right to ask that. The questions were many, and the answers were few. People on both sides of the border were left scratching their heads, trying to make sense of the situation. The official explanations were vague, and the true motivations remained elusive. But the reasons given were, let's just say they were about as clear as a glass of Canadian tap water. The justifications ranged from economic protectionism to national security concerns, but none seemed to hold water. The lack of clarity only added to the frustration and confusion. Some mumbled something about national security, which frankly is more insulting than anything. The idea that Canadian steel posed a threat to American security was met with skepticism and disbelief. It felt like a flimsy excuse, a smokescreen for other, less noble intentions. As if those adorable Mounties on horseback are a threat to anyone. The image of the friendly red-coated Mounties patrolling the vast Canadian wilderness stood in stark contrast to the notion of a national security threat. It was almost laughable, if not for the serious consequences at stake. The point is, these tariffs were a big deal. They weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they had real, tangible impacts on people's lives. Businesses faced closure, workers feared for their jobs, and the economic ripple effects were felt far and wide. The stakes were high and the pressure was mounting. They threatened jobs, businesses, and the very fabric of the U.S.-Canadian trade relationship. Negotiations were tense, and the future of cross-border trade hung in the balance. The once strong economic ties between the two nations were being tested like never before. It was like punching your friendly neighbor in the face, right before asking to borrow his snowblower. The irony was not lost on anyone. The actions taken seemed counterproductive, damaging a relationship that had been built on mutual respect and cooperation. The road ahead was uncertain, and the journey had only just begun. Welcome to Novum Tempus, to this important discussion about the evolving dynamics of trade and consumer behavior between Canada and the United States. Now, Canadians are known for their politeness, but even they have their limits. They might say sorry after you step on their foot, but they won't hesitate to fight back when you mess with their economy. And fight back they did. Canadians from coast to coast decided to boycott U.S. brands. Netflix? More like no flicks. U.S. produce? We've got our own apples, thank you very much. Even Kentucky bourbon, that amber nectar, wasn't safe. It was a full-on maple leaf waving rebellion against all things American-made. Canadians were sending a message, loud and clear. You want to play hardball with tariffs? Well, two can play at that game. And they were willing to sacrifice their daily dose of Stranger Things to prove it. Now, you can't talk about the great Canadian boycott of 2025 without mentioning the man, the myth, the hair, before it went prematurely gray from all this stress. Justin Trudeau. Trudeau, the charismatic leader who had already faced numerous challenges during his tenure, found himself at the center of a new storm. This time, it was a storm of economic and nationalistic fervor, and he was determined to steer Canada through it with a steady hand and a clear vision. Yes, the yoga-posing meme-worthy Prime Minister wasn't just going to sit back and let the US push Canada around. Trudeau, known for his calm demeanor and often playful public persona, showed a different side during this period. He was resolute, focused, and ready to take on the challenge head-on. His government quickly mobilized, understanding that this was not just a political maneuver, but a fight for the country's economic independence and dignity. Trudeau and his government actively encouraged the boycott. They held numerous meetings strategizing on how best to implement the boycott and ensure it had the desired impact. The message was clear: Canada would not be bullied into submission. The government worked tirelessly, coordinating with businesses, local governments, and citizens to create a united front. This was a national effort, and everyone had a role to play. They launched campaigns urging Canadians to buy Canadian. These campaigns were everywhere, on TV, radio, social media, and even in schools. The slogan "Buy Canadian" became a rallying cry, a symbol of resistance and pride. People were encouraged to support local businesses, buy Canadian-made products, and show their patriotism in everyday choices. The response was overwhelming, with Canadians from all walks of life embracing the movement. They even went so far as to order the removal of US alcohol from government-run liquor stores in Nova Scotia. This bold move sent a strong message to the US and the world. Canada was serious about this boycott. The sight of empty shelves where American products once stood became a powerful image, symbolizing the country's commitment to the cause. It wasn't just about economics, it was about making a statement. Talk about putting your money where your maple leaf is. Canadians were encouraged to spend their dollars on homegrown products, and they responded with enthusiasm. The maple leaf, already a beloved national symbol, took on new meaning as it became a mark of quality and patriotism. People proudly displayed Canadian-made goods, and businesses saw a surge in support. This wasn't just about economics for Trudeau, it was personal. He had grown up with a deep love for his country, instilled in him by his father, former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. This boycott was a way to honor that legacy and protect the future of Canada. Trudeau's personal connection to the cause resonated with many Canadians, who saw in him a leader who truly cared about their well-being and the nation's sovereignty. He had stared down Trump before, and he wasn't backing down now. The relationship between Trudeau and Trump had always been complicated, marked by moments of tension and disagreement. But this time, Trudeau was unwavering. He knew that standing up to the US was risky, but he believed it was necessary. His determination inspired many, and his leadership during this period was widely praised. He knew that this boycott was about more than just tariffs. It was about defending Canada's sovereignty and its place in the world. The boycott became a symbol of national pride, a way for Canadians to assert their identity and values. It was a reminder that Canada was a strong, independent nation capable of standing up for itself. The movement brought people together, fostering a sense of unity and purpose that transcended politics and economics. You know that old saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend"? It's a phrase that has been used throughout history to describe unlikely alliances formed in the face of a common adversary. In the context of Canada, this saying took on a new meaning during a particularly tense period of trade disputes with the United States. Well, in this case, the enemy of Canada was American trade policy, and suddenly, everyone wanted to be Canada's friend. The trade policies imposed by the United States were seen as aggressive and unfair, leading to a groundswell of support for Canadian businesses and products. This wasn't just about economics, it was about standing up for national dignity and self-respect. The boycott sparked a wave of national pride not seen since the last time Canada beat the US in hockey. It was as if the entire nation had been waiting for a moment to rally together, and this trade dispute provided the perfect catalyst. From coast to coast, Canadians were finding new ways to express their patriotism, whether through supporting local businesses or participating in national events. Canadians were rallying around the flag, literally and figuratively. The maple leaf became a symbol of resistance and unity, a banner under which people from all walks of life could gather. It wasn't just about waving the flag, it was about what the flag represented: freedom, resilience, and a shared sense of purpose. polls showed a surge in patriotism, with more Canadians than ever saying they were very proud of their country. This newfound pride was reflected in various aspects of daily life. People were more inclined to buy Canadian-made products, attend local events, and even engage in discussions about what it meant to be Canadian in a globalized world. Even the national anthem was getting more love, albeit not from everyone. "O Canada" was sung with renewed vigor at public gatherings, sports events, and even in schools. It was as if the anthem had taken on a new layer of meaning, serving as a reminder of the country's values and the importance of standing together in challenging times. There were reports of the U.S. anthem being booed at sporting events. This reaction, while controversial, highlighted the depth of feeling among Canadians. It wasn't just about trade policies, it was about a perceived lack of respect and fairness from a neighboring country that had long been considered a friend and ally. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it shows just how deeply this trade war had struck a nerve. The anger and frustration were palpable, and they manifested in various ways, from public protests to heated debates in town halls. People were not just upset about the economic impact, they were concerned about what this meant for the future of Canada-US relations. The boycott had become about more than just economics, it had become a symbol of Canadian identity, and a rejection of American bullying. It was a statement that Canada would not be pushed around, that it would stand up for its values and its people. This period of heightened national pride served as a reminder of the strength and resilience of the Canadian spirit, a spirit that would continue to thrive long after the trade disputes had been resolved. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this engaging and thought-provoking discussion. As we wrap up, let's remember that the relationship between these two nations is built on a foundation of deep economic ties, shared values, and mutual respect, even in times of disagreement. While trade disputes and tariffs may test this bond, they also highlight the power of consumers and the importance of dialogue in resolving conflicts. If you have further thoughts or questions, don't hesitate to continue the conversation. Until next time, let's keep exploring how economics, politics, and everyday choices shape our world. Thanks for joining in, and take care.